I'm Yuri.
I'm Jacob.
And we're going for a drive. 2020 BMW M340i.
X-Drive with launch control. Build boost, and send. That's pretty quick.
This is a surprisingly fast car for a subtle looking car.
It is.
So let's start with the horsepower and torque and then get into the launch control.
382 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque from a 3-liter twin-scroll single-turbo inline 6.
So we've already driven this car in Portugal on the track, but it was camoed and looked a lot more badass.
It was a prototype at the time.
So let's talk about the launch control. We complained about the Z4 launch control that it didn't push you hard enough.
We've complained about pretty much every BMW launch control. And then we got a chance to talk to some engineers from BMW in Germany.
And what did they tell us?
They told us that you actually have to build boost. So once it says launch control activated, you gotta wait a little bit, build some boost, and then go.
So it's a slight noticeable difference, but it's still not as aggressive as like everything else on the market.
Yeah, not even as close to anything else like from Mercedes. Those things are just so violent, but this has a 0 to 100 kilometer time of 4.4 seconds, and the C43 with pretty much the same horsepower has 4.7 seconds. That's a pretty big difference.
Well, this car's like really fast. Here, let me punch it. Every time I floor it in this car, I'm shocked.
It's really fast, and in typical BMW fashion, I think the numbers are probably underrated.
So if we said it once, we said it 100 times, BMW has the best traction control, right?
Yes, they do.
So we have one traction control off, and we're gonna go a little send through Cliche Corner. We already sent it hard in Portugal and drifted these like crazy.
Yeah, with Timo Glock. Is that Timo Glock in front of us? Yes, it is.
So let's see how this responds through Cliche. The perfect amount of playfulness.
Exactly.
Like it's all-wheel drive, and it lets the back out get enough safely, and if you go too far, it'll reel you back in.
And it feels very, very rear-wheel drive for being all-wheel drive, and that's why I love this so much.
And that's why I love all BMWs that are all-wheel drive, because in the GLC 63, I cranked the wheel all the way, floored it with traction completely off, and nothing happened.
Yeah, this, you don't have to do anything, and you're still in traction on, it's just semi-traction.
And in the 8 Series, I did the same thing, traction off, cranked it, and it's full out like donuts.
Yeah, it's amazing. BMW has nailed traction control on the level of Porsche, like very, very close.
I'd say just as good.
Yeah, okay.
But we haven't gooned 911s on track yet.
Well, yeah, we haven't
We've driven, we haven't gooned them.
Yeah, all right.
So let's start with the features that this has. This has the newest infotainment for BMWs.
Yes, this has the Hey BMW, which I'm going to trigger by saying that right now.
But it doesn't have the vitalization program, but the one we did in Europe did.
Yeah, it's weird.
This function is currently not available.
Then we've got the gauges that we hate on the inside where the tach is on the right, but in all fairness, this isn't a full-on M model.
No, this is an M Performance.
So I think it's okay. I think the Z4 should have performance gauges because it's a convertible and a 2-seater.
I still think this should have the better gauges.
But it's nice to know that's like where they draw the line, because we did see the M8 and it did have the cool gauges and they actually look a lot better.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to take any pictures or anything, but we did see the new upcoming M8, so get excited for that.
And then just like the other BMWs, we have our gesture control, we have rewinding satellite radio, we don't have tune mix, but what we do have is Apple CarPlay.
We don't have Android Auto, but the funniest thing that just happened, BMW has announced that Apple CarPlay is a subscription service.
So how does it work? It's like 20 years for $400?
Yep, or 1 year for $100.
You know what? I get it. It's like adding an add-on that's gonna go so long that it's not even gonna be relevant. Like somebody has a subscription to like Palm Pilot online for 40 years.
But just charge $400 for Apple CarPlay forever.
But then they don't have to maintain it forever, right?
I guess, but it's just weird.
To be honest, the prices aren't as bad as I thought it would be. Well, the per year price is bad, but the rest isn't as bad.
Still horrible to charge a subscription for it.
Yeah, 100% horrible. I hate it. I hate absolutely every part of it. But it's also wireless Apple CarPlay, so we've got all the regular issues that I've had in every single other BMW video, so just watch those.
Yep.
So Apple actually did hook me up with an iPhone with wireless charging. So we've got wireless charging and wireless Apple CarPlay, which is pretty convenient, but you still get a bunch of lag from phone calls because of the wirelessness. And if you want to watch a YouTube video, the audio is going to be way off. And how about the rest of the inside? We've got a nice tan seat and interior.
Cognac, actually.
I love this. This is the ideal color for BMWs inside.
This is absolutely great. I love this. The seats are pretty comfortable. I did have to fully deflate the lumbar, but we also have adjustable bolstering, which is really nice. And unfortunately, in this particular one, we don't have cooled seats. We only have heated seats, but you can get it.
And back to this being the new gen of infotainment, this does have the traffic jam assist with the radar that looks at your eyes. And the cool thing was, it actually activated for me before coming to a complete stop in traffic jam.
Which is what I wanted in the X5 or X7.
Yeah, so it does do that. I guess we just didn't hit the right circumstances.
Great.
But it was nice. I was on the phone call with you for like, I think 16 minutes on the 401.
And it worked.
Just
chilling.
just looking straight and paying attention.
Discussing YouTube.
But I still think the Hyundai Palisade and Kia Telluride overall lane keep assist system is much better for highway driving.
I 100% back you up on that.
By the way, Kia, you shared our video on Twitter saying that we gave you an award for it. These aren't real awards.
We don't have awards.
They're temporary awards of how I feel at the time, but I appreciate you respecting my authority.
We should actually just come up with a straight pipe award. Just give we should get like 2 rusty pipes and just hand them out to manufacturers every year.
And this does have parking assist. It does have the 360 cameras and all that cool stuff that you've been expecting from the newer models.
Yeah, all the gestures, you pinch and move the car around. It still doesn't work as well as the new Audi stuff.
And it does have the reverse assist that lets you reverse out up to 50 meters, which works very well.
And we use that in Portugal, so we don't need to test that here again, but here's that clip.
And here's another clip from the X5 video. Just watch our old video, watch everything we do. And how's back seat room for you, Jacob?
It's actually surprisingly good. I fit pretty comfortably back there.
And we also have a cool entrance light when we get in.
Yeah, that's like straight from the 7 Series
But it's different. It's more like this pattern up here.
Yeah, it's just nice that they added that.
And then we do have a head-up display, and what's nice about this one in the new style compared to the old style, like in the X3M and the X4M, it's a lot lower profile, so it's not blocking my whole vision. And then you get your shift lights there too when you're in all your sport mode. It's pretty ideal considering how bad the gauges are.
Yeah, that's true. And overall materials in here are all very nice. There's like pretty much no gloss black in here. We've got this nice matte wood finish. I really like this interior in this spec.
Yeah, I think overall this spec is fantastic with the cognac and the blue. I think it's the most BMW thing ever in a sedan. But now it's your turn to drive. Talk about the looks and more handling and power.
By the way, he just triggered the thing with his finger by doing all that.
Yo, build some boost. More. Keep going.
And that's it. That's quick, man.
It's quick, but it doesn't feel too quick because it's such a solid car.
Yeah, but you get to the speed limit quite quickly.
Very quickly. That's the big thing about this car. It's subtle and you can always go fast, but if you're in eco mode and you never switched it, you might not even know it's quick.
Yeah, so let's talk about these drive modes. We've got a bunch of them. Sport Plus is my favorite. However, Sport Individual is even better because then I can customize my steering and my damping. So I've taken those down to comfort, and this is now perfect for me.
And because I'm upset about the gauges, I've decided to keep this in Comfort or Eco Pro. If it's not an M, I'm not gonna drive it fast. That's my new BMW rule.
I think the M Performance ones still like to be driven fast, and I enjoy driving certain ones fast, and I think this is one of my favorite BMWs that's not a real M.
But this is me trying to make a scene about the gauges.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it is really good. It's really fun to drive fast. Like on the track, this thing was awesome. Yo, cut to more clips of us drifting, a couple more clips of us drifting.
Yeah, that was all this car as a prototype, by the way.
Yeah, this car is insane, like straight up. But, you know, I got to draw the line somewhere.
So let's talk about this actual engine. I absolutely love this engine. It pulls all the time. I really like the power delivery in this. It's so fast. It's like almost instant. It's almost like it's supercharged.
How about the way it sounds?
Sounds okay.
Like, it's not the best burbles and crackles, but I think for an M Sport or M Performance or whatever it is,
It's an M Performance.
I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, so I figured out why I don't like the M Performance burbles and crackles. It's the frequency, the tone, and the pops, basically.
And the predictability.
Exactly.
I guess that's kind of frequency.
Yeah, so I just don't like that, but that's just personal preference. And on the real M models, they kind of fix it. And we have a ZF 8-speed, and it shifts so quickly, like click, go. But what I did notice, and I did notice this when we first reviewed the 3 Series, is that the gauge changes faster than the actual transmission, which I've gotten accustomed to, and it's fine, but I just noticed that again.
And as a strike, I'm keeping it in auto, keeping it in comfort.
Oh, and since we reviewed the new X3M competition, we've technically driven the M3 right now. because we've driven that engine. It's going to be the new 3 Series, and that's going to be the M3, and we're driving this, so...
Okay, so while we were hanging out with the engineers, I showed them my prototype of what I think the M3 is going to look like from the 3 Series video.
Yeah, after a couple drinks,
they laughed me off, and I kept making changes, and then they stopped laughing.
So this is probably what it looks like.
I think. But back to shifting, do you feel a little underwhelmed by the paddles?
A little bit, yes.
Like compared to C43 paddles, which would be an equivalent competitor to this?
Yes, but these are going to be better than Audi paddles, obviously.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some handling. This thing handles incredibly well, and it's so predictable. Like, this is one of my favorite chassis out of any car. You can get the rear end to hang out like you did earlier. It's so predictable. I love the way that it delivers power, soaks up the bumps, and just the overall feeling, because this does have an LSD in the back. So it's awesome.
How do you feel about the steering wheel?
Okay, so when I switched it to comfort, it got a lot better, and I'm just gonna leave it at that because it's still not my favorite.
But how about like the fatness of it?
The fatness of it is
it's on
okay.
the fatter side.
Yeah, but it's not like an M3 like the previous gen M4 one.
I kind of like fat steering wheels when I get in a BMW. I feel like, oh yeah, that's what I want.
I'm getting used to them. And quickly on the suspension, the damping is just right. If you leave this in sport mode, it's completely fine, but I just prefer comfort. Because this isn't like you said, not a real M, it's just an M performance model.
Which is fine. Like, I think for the majority of people, this is the perfect car. Like BMW fanboys, my stepbrother would fall in love with this car because it's subtle, but super fast when it needs to be.
I honestly love this. I love this more than an M5. And I know that's like crazy. And
that is crazy.
We did get driven by...
Shut your mouth.
Jesse Krohn, which is the M8 GTE driver, and he sent it around the track so fast.
And he knew us. He said he watches our videos to help him decide which BMW car he gets for lease for the next year or whatever.
So shout out to Jesse. That car is stupid fast in his hands, but I prefer a lot about this. I think I just like the 3 Series, and specifically the M340i, pretty much out of any BMW other than the real M's, which I already said earlier.
So speaking of BMW stuff, we did go to M Fest in Canada at CTMP.
Yeah, the first time in North America.
So I won an award. I won an award for hitting the most cones, I guess worst driver award.
Okay, so I got something to clear up for Yuri. Yuri did not hit any of the cones. It was the driver in front of him. I will fully vouch for Yuri.
Nothing.
So Yuri actually left, and I had to pick up the cone on his behalf. So here's a video of that. Follow us on Instagram, TheStraightPipes Yuri Tereshit.
I've never even seen a cone in my life. I don't know what they look like. I'm actually allergic to cones. If I get anywhere near them, I stay a couple feet away.
Okay, so what did we do that day? We drove the M2 competition, which again reaffirmed that is the best car on sale today. Like, I love that
That's
thing.
the first thing I said when we got out of that. I'm like, Jacob, M2's the best, right? He's like, yeah, it's still the best.
It's the best.
Competition.
Yes.
And we did some off-roading in the X3 and the X4, which was pretty cool. Just like standard, easy stuff.
Yeah, but we were able to get a lot of articulation, which was cool.
Yeah, and like the hill descent assist. And I kept using the 360 camera while driving because I thought it'd be funny. It like kept trying to like put me into spots, into like the forest and beeping. So, you know, I had fun with it.
Yeah, and then we also drag raced in the M850i, which was pretty cool.
But we weren't allowed to use launch control because it would overheat from using launch control too many times.
Yeah, that was a bit annoying.
So we had to brake boost, but if you floored it all the way while brake boosting, then the traction control screwed up. You had to only brake boost a little bit.
Yeah, so I figured that out before you, so I won 2-1 in that little section. And then we also autocrossed this.
And the Z4.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool to see what this is capable of.
So shout out M Fest. I had a great time, even though I'm not the worst driver.
No, you're not. You're definitely not. And I like that they actually do that M Fest thing. Like, not a lot of brands are doing that. I think Mercedes is getting to with the AMG stuff, the AMG Driving Academy. Porsche takes care of all that kind of stuff as well. So it's good to see.
This is cool because like anyone could go.
Exactly. It's good to see that they're doing that for the brand. And one last thing about driving, I love the driving position. I'm able to telescope the steering wheel pretty much exactly where I want it. I'm low enough. I do really like this.
But you said the cup holder hits your shin on the door.
Yeah, so one thing about the driving position, I guess because I'm 6'1.5" and I have longer legs, I actually hit the side of my shin into the side cup holder, so I have to readjust it so it's not the most comfortable position, so I gotta kind of move it off the dead pedal.
And my leg is fully in front of it, so I don't know what's up with your crazy legs.
I don't know.
And speaking of cup holders, it does fit a cup of coffee just fine. Now the visor test.
Okay, let's do this.
So it didn't pass in Europe, and he told us because there's so many twisty roads in Europe, they don't prioritize visor tests.
Yeah,
so
apparently.
3, 2, 1.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Yes!
Take that, European designer guy that we talked to. You're also really nice.
Woo!
So one last thing to talk about is the overall looks, which we haven't even touched on.
Pretty much the exact same as the 3 Series that we did before.
Yeah, it's not overly aggressive. It kind of looks like an M Sport model, which is an M Performance model, so it's very subtle.
I mean, we could talk about the exhaust tips, I guess.
Yeah, I actually hate them because they are M Performance exhaust tips, and they haven't got the M Performance exhaust tips right on any car yet.
You know what I feel like the problem was? Is they used regular exhaust tips for their M models, and they're like, these are the best. We need to keep these for the M models. And they're like, well, we need to do something worse for the lower models. So they went through the list, found the employee with the worst ideas, and put that into action.
I think that's exactly what happened.
Because they're like, well, we can't put the best ones on anything but the best thing. But you know what AMG is doing?
They're doing circles.
Yeah, on like the C40, C43, and 53.
They're great.
Which is like better than the squares, kind of.
Kind of.
So like, people are making mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Also, you said C53, E53, but I'll let
That's what
that
I said, C43 and 53s.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because
all right.
I know my...
You do. Oh, like you keep hitting the hand gestures.
I'm Italian.
Yeah, exactly.
This car is not for sale in Italy.
And this isn't my favorite blue, but it goes with the whole subtle theme. I think it needs to be in Portimao blue, which I got blasted for saying Portimao, so here's my correction, Portimao blue.
And you like the wheels, don't you?
I do like these wheels. These are the best wheels available for this car. The other ones kind of suck.
And what is the Continental recommended tire?
The Continental Extreme Contact Sport.
Yeah, I just got new Contis on my Plymouth Prowler.
Oh, yes, you did. Shout out Plymouth Prowler.
Can't do burnout because doesn't have enough power.
Intrepid engine.
The wheels are too wide. But I'll still try. I tried like 3 times that day. You're like, yeah, your front wheels are stopped. You just keeps moving forward. Now let's get to the price.
Starts at $61,850.
Canadian.
This one is $72,200.
How much are the C43s?
Right around there.
Okay, so I guess we need to compare C43 to M340i to end it.
So I think I prefer this. This is my favorite in this class now. This beats out the G70, this beats out the C43, and I think this beats out the Audis for me as well.
Okay, so here's how I see it. Looks-wise, C43 looks cooler.
I agree.
Wagon.
Obviously.
Then we've got track based on the C43. Traction control is not as good on C43, so this wins, and I think this feels a lot faster. Doesn't have as good as paddles, and I don't like the interior and the infotainment as much as I like it in the Mercedes.
I also agree.
I think it's dead even. I would take the Mercedes.
I think from a driving perspective, this one actually drives better than the 43 series, and that's why I enjoy this one more.
But shouldn't you just kind of wait for the M3?
Well, if you can afford it, obviously.
Because like the C43 is more looks-wise, so like that's why you need to get it.
I get that too, but I think this is just a better driving car, and that's why I like it. This feels more refined to me as a driver's car.
So let us know in the comments below, C43 or M340i.
Or the Audis, or the G70, or something else.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Check out patreon.com/TheStraightPipes, join our YouTube membership, and check out Teespring for swag.
Shirts, they're called shirts.
I'm just trying to get with the times, Yuri.